Hello guys, welcome to the fiction series. Today we are gonna see, what if Naruto got harem with Nami, Robin and Gina? Part 1. If you want more awesome fan fiction like this, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. So without wasting any time, let's get into the video. Alabaster, Nanohana. Dude. Yelled a teenage boy jumping off a ship with a sheep figurehead. He's 5'7", wearing short blue trousers, along with a sleeveless red vest, and wearing sandals. He also has a scar with 2 stitches underneath his left eye and short black hair, wearing a straw hat with a red band around it. And his left arm has a bandage wrapped around it. Beside him is a young, average-sized girl, with short orange hair and light brown eyes, wearing a yellow sleeveless top with white frills, brown miniskirt with white circles on the sides, and high heels. She has a watch with a globed compass on it and a gold bracelet. She also has a bandaged left arm. Beside her is a teenage girl with long wavy blue hair pulled into a ponytail, with 2 bangs hanging down to her chin, one on either side of her head. She is also very slender-bodied, having long thin legs and arms and prominent large breasts. She's wearing a pink shirt with a purple trim and 3X across her chest and blue pants going to her knees. She also has a bandaged left arm. Beside her is a young man with blonde hair brushed over the left side of his face, covering his left eye and a curly eyebrow, wearing a black suit, a blue pin-striped undershirt with a black tie with a cigarette in his mouth. With him is a slim, somewhat dark-skinned teenager with medium-length black curly hair and a long nose, wearing an olive-green plaid bandana, along with goggles on his head, brown overalls with a white sash and no shirt, a blue and white striped armband on his left arm, carrying a yellow satchel over his shoulder, also with a bandaged left arm. Beside him is an average-sized man with lightly tanned skin, green cropped hair, 3 identical gold earrings on his left earlobe, a white shirt with a green haramaki around his waist, black pants tucked into his black boots, and a black bandana tied around his left bicep, with 3 swords on his waist, with a bandaged arm also. A reindeer human hybrid with a blue nose, wearing a red top hat with a wide X in front, wearing purple shorts, puts on a blue backpack before jumping off with the green-haired and blonde-hair men. Hello there. They turned to their left and saw a man about standing at 6 feet wearing a red long-sleeved trench coat with a black flame decorating the bottom. A hood that's pulled up over his head shadowing the top part of his face. He's wearing a dark blue shirt, black fingerless gloves, cargo pants, and steel-toed combat boots. Alright. I thought I wasn't going to find anyone. I was traveling for a week straight from the Rain Dinners casino. The blue-haired girl's eyes widened at that. What? But you don't have a camel. How could you do that? The man removed his hood revealing a teen boy with spiky blonde hair, blue eyes, and 3 whisker marks on each cheek. I'm awesome. I'm Uzumaki Naruto. Naruto introduced himself right as a large duck wearing a hat with goggles and a collar with a small barrel with a straw in it squawked, pointing to a ship beside them with a 3 design on it. Mr. 3, I thought we lost him. The black-haired teen said as the orange-haired girl dropped by Naruto. I'm Nami. This is Vivi, Zoro, Sanji, Chopper, and Karu. Nice to meet you. Naruto said before noticing the skull and crossbones wearing a straw hat on the sails. You pirates? He asked, making Nami reluctantly nod. Don't worry. I had a run-in with a corrupt marine the other day, so I can't go to them. Beside. I can tell you're not the kind that'll pillage a village like other pirates do. Good. Nami said as Naruto chuckled. Hey, would it be alright if I ride with you? I've been here for a couple of months and I want to see other places. Nami glanced back to Vivi for a moment before looking back. That would be our Captain Luffy's decision. Also, we're going to do something here. She replied, making Naruto nod. Does it have to do with Baroque works? I heard about them at that casino. Seeing the shocked looks, he guessed he hit the nail on the head. I'll help you with that. Nami gained money sign in her eyes. Then the new member fee is 100,000 berries. Zoro was going to speak up until Naruto brought out a scroll, unrolled it showing several seals, and placed his hand on one. Suddenly, a ton of cash came out in neatly stacked pile. Okay. Here you go. Naruto said, taking several stack out before giving them to her. He jumped high up onto the ship as the others stared dumbfounded in the spot he was before Naruto threw several scrolls on the ship. Hey, I see a teen with a straw hat running to a house. That Luffy. They turned to see Naruto sticking to the side of the mast looking out as Nami nodded. Why? Yes, how are you doing that? Is it a devil fruit? Naruto jumped down and shook his head. No. I'm actually from another world and got transported here after defeating an enemy that wanted to destroy the world and turn the people into her army. Any proof? Zoro asked as Naruto nodded. Yes. I know you're only able to have one power here, so he puts his hands in a cross-shaped seal and another Naruto popped beside him. I can also control the elements. Going through more hand seals, water came up from the ocean in the shape of a dragon. But enough. Naruto asked as the dragon dispersed into the sea as Nami nodded. Why? Yes. Let's go. Everyone but Naruto, Chopper now in a reindeer form, and Sanji walked to the town under a tarp to keep from being recognized. They walked through town and to a small broken house that's missing a wall. Okay. We're in the clear. Usopp said coming out of the tarp. Only to see everyone was already out. Well, it looks like you'll be safe from prying eyes for a while, Vivi. Sanji said, taking a drag from his cigarette and knocked some ash off of it. Vivi ignored him as she looked down and thought. Vivi? She jumped before smiling nervously. Yes, sorry, I'm just relieved that this city's doing good, she said as Naruto looked out at the crowd. Later, Naruto, Sanji, and Chopper in his reindeer form was walking in the city looking at the vendors before stopping at a food vendor. Sanji bent down and picked up a shishi kebab. It's venison, he said looking back at Chopper, who looked scared and shook his head. That's what's great about traveling around so many different ingredients. Chopper smelled something and turned his head to a perfume store. I smell something. Sanji and Naruto looked to him before Sanji spoke up. Oh, that's perfume. He said as Chopper looked queasy as two dancing girls walked out. Naruto felt air go by him before seeing Sanji getting close to one of the women and flirted shamelessly. So there's someone like Hiro Sennin. Pervy sage. In this world. Naruto thought with a sigh as Chopper bit Sanji's pants, started pulling on them, and pulled them down a little revealing blue heart-themed boxers. What the hell, Chopper? It was getting good. Sanji complained as the women ran off leaving the three to themselves. Naruto looked back at the vendors before speaking up. So where do we start? He asked before looking back and saw Sanji run off after the women. Why am I not surprised? Naruto asked before seeing Chopper's gone also. Damn. Naruto cursed before looking around. After a few minutes, Sanji returned with a large bag of supplies and clothes for everyone. They walked back, thinking Chopper went back and gave everyone their robes, with Vivi's and Nami's being dancer girls' outfits. Naruto facepalmed at Sanji as he drooled over them. Here. Naruto threw them 2 extra trench coats to wear before dodging a kick from Sanji. What the hell was that for? Naruto yelled asked as Sanji glared. Why the hell would you cover them up? They would get sunburned. Do you want to be responsible for damaging their skin? Naruto asked getting in Sanji's face. As they argued, Chopper in his hybrid form was lying on his back, holding his nose. What's wrong, Chopper? Feeling ill? Nami asked as Sanji pulled away from Naruto to explain the perfume's too strong for his extra sensitive nose. Oh really? Nami asked with a smirk before spraying on more. Guys. Everyone looked to Vivi who spoke up. I want to protect Alabaster Kingdom, so I guess I have no choice but to ask for your help. They nodded before realizing something. Where's Luffy? Nami gained a tick mark on her head before growling. That idiot. Later, everyone but Sanji, Vivi, and Karu walked through the city as Naruto noticed Nami pulling Chopper in his tall muscular human form and Usopp away from a vendor trying to sell a fake golden apple that'll let you live for 1,000 years. He noticed everyone sweating before walking to Nami. Oh yeah, I knew I forgot something. He pulled Nami's coat open and saw the inside is covered in seals before touching one. Nami blinked as she felt a cool breeze inside the coat, cooling her down. Naruto turned to them and explained. These are seals that'll keep you cool in this heat. There are others on the coat to warm you up in a cold climate, he said before hearing an elderly female speak up. Monkey D. Luffy. They stopped and saw a fortune teller talking to a man with a wanted post with a smiling Luffy on it giving the peace sign and wanted dead or alive. 30 million berries. On it. The man has black hair and freckles. He is wearing black boots, black knee-length shorts with an eyelet-studded orange belt and a blue pouch belted around his left leg. He's also wearing a short second belt with a large red A on a silver buckle over his right hip but left it unfastened and threaded the free end along the back of his shorts. A dagger in a green sheath hung at his left hip. On his left arm, he's wearing a log pose and a red and white striped bracelet around his wrist, an orange elbow guard, and a tattoo that said ass with the S crossed out. He has a red beaded necklace and an orange hat with 2 blue smileys, one frowning and one smiling, and a string of red beads sitting above the rim. 2 long orange side straps hung down sides of his hat and met at a large medallion of a bull's skull with orange tassels. On his back there is a large tattoo of purple bones formed in a cross behind a purple skull with a white mustache. Holy crap. Naruto said seeing the tattoo on his back. That's one of Whitebeard's men. Fire Fist Portgas D-Ace. He has a bounty of over 500 million berries. Usopp and Nami turned to him wide-eyed. Really? Naruto nodded before speaking up again. Yes. He was offered a position of Shichibukai. 7 warlords. Before joining with Whitebeard and turned it down. If he's looking for Luffy. We're in trouble. Naruto finished before seeing Zoro hide as 2 people walked in front of them at a sword vendor. One is a muscular blue-green haired man, smoking 2 cigars at once. He's wearing a large thick white and blue specialist marine jacket which he has open, with greenish fur lining the neck, wrists and hem. Many cigars are strapped to the jacket, which bears the kanji for justice written on the back of it. He carries a jut on the back of it. He's also wearing brown leather gloves, blue jeans with a brown belt, and large military-issue brown leather boots. The other is a young woman with chin-length, dark blue hair and dark brown eyes. She's wearing a purple short-sleeved shirt. She's also wearing white pants, shoes and rectangular red spectacles. With a sword on her hip. Old girlfriend. Zoro jumped as Naruto knelt behind him. No. Just some marines we fought before coming to the Grand Line. They ran back to the others and explained what they saw as Naruto turned the seals on Vivi's coat. Suddenly, Luffy ran to them and had the pirates follow with Smoker. His right arm turned into smoke and he shot forward at them. Only for fire to block his path. The fire died down revealing Ace with fire for finger and fire covering parts of his body. Go on guys. He said as Luffy smiled. Ace that you? Ace smiled before nodding and the others left. Luffy who was that? Nami asked as Luffy held on his hat. My big brother. What? Luffy blinked before noticing Naruto. Who are you? He asked as Naruto shrugged. I offered to help you in exchange for a ride. I'm Uzumaki Naruto. As they ran down the street, they came to a fork in the road before everyone but Luffy, who was looking at Ace's fight, went left. Damn. Naruto cursed before jumping over the building and ran after Luffy. He found Luffy in an alley just as Ace jumped down to him and they armed wrestled talking about their childhood. Naruto dropped down as Ace explained he joined Whitebeard's crew and he'll do everything he can to make him king of the pirates. Say. Why don't you and your crew join? Ace asked throwing Luffy a canteen. No thanks. Ace laughed before smiling. I thought you'd say that. Just thought I'd give it a try. Luffy continued to drink making Ace glare. Stop drinking it you mooch. After taking the canteen back, they started walking down the street as a group of men started to come out of windows, alleyways, and the roofs. So tell me about your crew Luffy. Ace said as Luffy grinned. Well there's a tough guy that carries 3 swords and wants to be the world's greatest swordsman. Our navigator who likes maps, tangerines, and money. A cook who makes really yummy food Naruto snorted before speaking up. And the second biggest pervert I've met. Luffy continued ignoring him. A liar too also we just got a doctor that's a reindeer. Ace smiled at that before speaking. Sounds like you've got a motley crew. They continued to talk until the group stood in front of them holding swords. So. Let's find your crew. Ace said as they walked past them. At them. The group attacked them as Luffy, Ace, and Naruto easily dodged and took them out. Several ganged up on Luffy, who stretched his arms up to a clothesline. The group shot at him, only to have the bullets go through Luffy to a point and shot back at them. Luffy dropped down and held his head. Clang. Luffy turned to see Naruto keeping a tall man from slicing him with a sword by blocking with a kunai. Luffy stretched his arms back and brought them forward, hitting the man in the stomach and sent him flying away. Gomu Gomu no. Bazooka. Gum Gum Bazooka. The 3 left leaving the gang to stare at them. They walked to the edge of the town and saw the ship as the gang came back. Naruto sighed before going through hand seals before a wall came up in between them. Naruto jumped down and puts his hand on Luffy's shoulder. Hey Luffy. How are we getting over the AAHH? Naruto screamed as Luffy stretched an arm to the ship's railing and rocketed them over. Luffy hits Sanji as Naruto flew over and hits the railing head first. Oh. He groaned standing up as blood dripped from a cut above his left eyebrow. We gotta treat that. Naruto looked to see Chopper running to him holding bandages. No need. Naruto took a cloth from inside pocket of his coat and wiped his cut. Everyone stared as the cut quickly healed before their eyes. It's the billions. Vivi shouted as several ships with a skull over wings and 2 swords behind it on the sails came into view. Naruto looked back to see Ace caught up to them before jumping to the front. I got this. He said as a blue ball of energy formed in his hand. It suddenly turned a bluish green and gained blades as a screech hits their ears. The ball grew bigger as Naruto lifted it over his head and threw it. Pton. Rasen Shuriken. Wind release. Spiraling Shuriken. The ball hits the first ship before growing bigger and destroying all the others before the attack dispersed. Cool. You gotta join my crew. Naruto turned to see Luffy grinning in front of him. Later, everyone was drinking as Ace explained he's looking for someone who was under his command that killed a crew member and fled before Vivi brought out a map as he said the town he's going to. Oh Yuba. That's where we're going. Later, Naruto was leaning on the railing as the others walked on the deck before Vivi walked out from inside. Nami. Could we stop here for a moment? I have a mission for Karu. Nami looked back and nodded before they stopped the Mary. Vivi told Karu to go to her father and give him a letter explaining that Crocodile is the leader of Baroque Works and everything she learned while undercover in the organization. Unknown location. In a dark room a man walked to the curtains of windows showing the rooms underwater. He is a tall man with a wide chest, broad shoulders, muscular arms and legs, and a thick neck. He has pale skin and nape-length deep black-purple hair which is kept neatly slicked back, a long stitched scar above his nose that stretches across his face, as well as a large hook made from gold in place of his left hand. He has deep-set drooping eyes, framed by many wrinkles, and thin eyebrows that appear to be in a perpetual sad position. And he is smoking a thick buck cigar. He's wearing a bright orange black striped button-up vest over a long-sleeve peach shirt, a blue scarf, dark brown suit pants and polished black shoes with gold buckles, a long thick dark gray pelted fur dark gray with a regular gray fur trim on his shoulders. I just got a report. The man looked back to see a woman wearing a coat that reached under her knees. She is a tall, slender yet athletic woman with shoulder-length black hair. She has blue eyes and she has a long, thin and defined nose and tanned skin. The billion ships were destroyed by one man. I'm having it verified now. I'm also getting our other agents now. She finished walking away as the man blew smoke from his cigar. Naruto, Ace, Vivi, and the SHC. The group walked into a ghost town that Vivi explained was once an oasis, but since Baroque works came to her country, it and others became ghost towns from a 3-year drought. Seems a little weird that as soon as a group that wants to take over your country a drought happens. Naruto stated as Vivi continued to explain how where the capital had a miracle rain, only to be discovered that dance powder was the cause, and they found bags of it in the castle. Wait, didn't you tell me that you ran into a person that could transform into anyone he touched with his right hand? Naruto asked as Vivi nodded. Yes Mr. 2. He even has my father too. Naruto looked down for a second before sighing. Hate to say it. But that's an ingenious plan. Have that Mr. 2 transform into your father, do terrible things, and have crocodile swoop in like a hero, and the people make him king. As they walked, Nami explained that dance powder can force clouds to rain, only for neighboring countries to go through a drought because it takes the moisture from them to make it rain. They continued to walk until the sun went down. Naruto saw Vivi and Nami start to shiver before walking over and turn the other seals on. They blinked as they felt warm air hit them before they settled in their tents. Spider Cafe. A blue-haired woman wearing square glasses, a diamond-patterned bandana, a tank top, tight pants, and has her hair tied back in a ponytail, was cleaning a glass as a bell ranged. The door opened and revealed 2 people, a woman and a man. The woman is a stout middle-aged woman with red hair. She's wearing a necktie that resembles a Christmas tree. Her attire include a large pair of purple lens sunglasses, a basket strapped to her back, and sandals and purple pants. The man is rather tall and fat, has big lips, and is wearing a green shirt that covers most of his body with black pants and gray running shoes. He has an obscure 4 design on his shirt, as well as a 4 on his baseball bat he's carrying on his back. This is your fault Mr. 4. The woman complained in a fast manner sitting at the counter as Mr. 4 apologized slowly. The woman at the bar smiled. It's good to see you Miss Merry Christmas. She said hands on her hip. You'll have the place all to yourselves for a while. She said fixing some drinks for them. Suddenly, a man came dancing in. He is a relatively tall male cross-dresser wearing flamboyant ballet clothes with a swan theme. He's wearing a pink overcoat and blue medieval clothes. He has heavy makeup and a wide grin. His legs, being exposed, are hairy. What a freak. The blue-haired woman said as the man walked over. I am not a freak Paula. I am merely a talented dancer practicing my craft. He replied sitting down at the bar. Suddenly, men came crashing in the wall. Mr. 2. One said staring up. It was that man. He pointed to a man standing outside. The man has long thin limbs and fingers. He is tall and very muscular, and his head is shaven. His most striking feature is probably the black unibrow right over his round eyes. He has big lips and the archaic Japanese symbol of the number 1 tattooed on his torso. He's wearing an oriental-looking attire consisting of a sleeveless dark coat with golden edges and white motifs on the front, over very loose beige pants held up by a white sash around the waist, with some light brown fur sprouting from it. His pants are tucked inside some bandages wrapped around his calves and in part around his shoes. Mr. 2 started fighting Mr. 1 as Paula stepped between them and spoke up. That's enough. She said changing outfits. Now she's wearing a revealing brown outfit consisting of a short long-sleeved jacket with fur brims, a bikini top with an unusual spider web-like pattern that goes across her stomach, low riding pants, and platform sandals. And she took her hair out of the ponytail, showing it's really curly. It's time to go. She said gaining everyone's attention. It's time to meet the boss. She finished as they got back inside and a turtle pulled the cafe with a man hiding behind it. Ace, Naruto, Vivi, and the SHC. Well Luffy. I'm off. But here take this so you can find me. Ace said, giving Luffy a piece of paper. Do you have to leave? Nami asked as Ace nodded. Yeah. That bounty hunter said Blackbeard left this country a few days ago. So I'm going after him. Ace replied before walking back to the Mary. They continued to travel as the girls rode on a camel Luffy saved earlier and would only allow the girls to ride. Soon they made it to Yuba, where an elderly man was digging for water and said the rebels are now in Katoria, a town on the other side of Nanohana. Of course. Naruto said, face palming as Eyelash grunted. He says he's been delivering to the rebels for a while now. Chopper translated as Luffy, Sanji, and Usopp started beating Eyelash up. Later, everyone but Luffy walked in one of the empty buildings and Usopp sped to one of the multiple beds. Well. Great jobs everybody. Really we did good work. He said, smiling at them before quickly getting on the bed. Only to yell out as Zoro threw a pillow at him. Please, this whole trip you've been nothing but lazy. Usopp looked to him with an annoyed look. Don't compare me to you other superhuman freaks. Naruto walked in from the bathroom wearing only black pajama pants and saw everyone but Vivi participating in a pillow fight. Well, you're a lively bunch, aren't ya? Naruto asked, walking to an empty bed. He laid down and missed Nami and Vivi blushed seeing his six-pack. Rain dinners. Mr. 1, Mr. 2, Mr. 4, Miss Merry Christmas and Miss Doublefinger sat at a table in a room under the water as banana gators swam around in the lake. They discussed who Mr. Zero is and bickered before hearing a female clear her throat. Looking to the stairs and saw Nico Robin wearing a skimpy cowgirl outfit consisting of a purple cleavage exposing corset and matching miniskirt, both with white ornaments hanging from them. And a white fur-lined coat paired with a white cowboy hat and white high-heeled boots. It's not surprising you don't get along. Oh well. It's not necessary that you do anyway. Mr. On raised an eyebrow before crossing his arms. Miss all Sunday? He asked as Robin walked down the stairs. Thank you all for agreeing to meet here at Rain Base. The city where every man and woman dreams of going home rich. Welcome to Rain Dinners. It's time to meet our boss. Robin gestured to a chair that's turned away from them at the top of the table. It turned around showing Crocodile with a cigar in his mouth. The group looked on in shock before Miss Doublefinger spoke up. Why would a Shichibukai 7 warlord want to do this? You're sanctioned by the government. Crocodile blew smoke out before answering. I do not want money. But military strength. Let me tell you my real plan. After telling them of his plan of getting an ancient weapon, he gave everyone a paper with their role in the plan before burning them. A few minutes later, a man with a white cloak ran in. He's an average-sized man with a rather frail-looking build. He has 3s visible on his vest design, upper part of his glasses, and his hair in one big 3 achieved through his top knot. He's wearing a log pose on his left wrist. How did you get here, Mr. 3? The location of this place was a secret. Mr. 3 waked down to them as he explained he hid on their carriage before Crocodile looked to him and he was unable to kill the Straw Hats and Vivi. What? You called me and said you did kill them. Crocodile yelled, standing up. Mr. 3 explained he's never called them as Crocodile glared before walking to Mr. 3. He grabbed him and Mr. 3 shriveled up before Crocodile dropped him and had a hole open up so Mr. 3 could fall in. Mr. 2 looked at drawing of Zoro, Luffy and Nami as well as a picture of Vivi before he turned into the so Robin could take their picture for their men. Morning, SHC Naruto and Vivi. Toto gave Luffy a small barrel of water he got from digging before they left to go and talked to Koza. As they got out of the town, Luffy sat down at a tree, saying he wasn't going to find Koza having everyone but Naruto yell at him. Guys. Naruto yelled, getting their attention. Luffy's right. Stopping Koza will only make it easier for Crocodile to take over this country. Vivi got in Naruto's face and glared. But I don't want there to be, she stopped as Naruto raised a hand to her mouth. With no one to fight Crocodile's forces. Your people will help him go against you and your father, as Crocodile made sure they saw your father as the bad guy. Best way to kill a snake is to cut off its head. Get Crocodile first and his army will fall. Naruto said to the before walking away. Now. Where the hell is Crocodile? Vivi sniffed before Naruto spoke up. Vivi. Let us help you. You don't need to hold this burden yourself. If you have friends with you. You can do anything. Vivi started following him, having the others follow her. Rebel base. Let me fight Koza. Yelled a boy wearing a backpack and ammo belts crossed over his chest to the man in front of him. Koza is a young blonde man wearing purple tinted glasses and has a scar on his left eye. He's wearing a blue scarf around his neck, a dark purple jacket that was going all the way down to his ankles, a white shirt with an ornament of some sort hanging on his neck, black pants and a yellow sash around his waist. Koza sighed as the boy continued explaining he wanted to fight because he hates the king. Show the kid. A tall muscular man walked forward and took his cloak off, showing the hole in his right shoulder and his missing hand. "We don't fight because we want to, we fight because we have to. Because that's what our country needs us to do. Battle is no place for kids, so leave." The kid ran away as Koza sighed and walked back to his tent. Alabaster Royal Palace. The man of average height sat on the throne before two men. He has a wrinkled face, a tight-off beard, and long curly black hair. He's wearing a green robe with yellow edging, an orange and beige sash around his waist, and a purple coat. He's also wearing sandals and a necklace. "Sire. It's only a matter of time before the rebels attacks. We should mount an attack on them," said one of the men. He is a tall man with a purple line under each eye that runs down the sides of his face, making him resemble a falcon. He's wearing a long white robe with brown star-like motifs on it and a matching hat. He has a big orange necklace around his neck and also sports striped socks under a pair of normal shoes. He has a sword on his right hip. The man standing beside him is a tall, imposing dark-skinned man with medium-length black hair and a long broad nose resembling that of a jackal. He's wearing a long, light green tunic, revealing his muscular chest, and has two belts around his waist. A striped pale red and crimson large one, and over it a purple thinner one. Around his neck he has a necklace consisting of big golden beads, and he's wearing a dark green coat draped on his shoulders like a cape. He has a massive sword with a blue hilt and sheath on his right hip. "I said no," Cobra said, standing up. "We will not attack. This is not a quarrel. If we strike first, they will strike back." Cobra finished before Chaka spoke. "Sire, we are barely clinging on to power now as it is." Cobra shook his head before speaking. "That does not matter. I don't care about my rule at the moment. Ever since the dance powder incident, it's been clear that someone is trying to tear our country apart. Are you suggesting we attack our citizens before we know who's behind this?" Cobra asked before sitting back down. "Because that would be the true death of our kingdom. Don't you know? A country is its people." "But sir, whoever is behind this hasn't shown themselves so far. We can't sit back and let this unknown fiend tear us apart," Chaka said as Cobra shook his head, having them leave. "SHC and Naruto." "No." Naruto looked back as Luffy kept the small barrel away from Usopp. "The old guy dug all night for this small of water. We can't waste it." Nami, riding eyelash with Vivi, blinked at that. "Wow, Luffy. You can restrain yourself." Naruto tuned out the conversation as they continued walking. A few hours later, they came to a city, and Naruto focused on a pyramid-shaped building with a gold banana gator's head on the top. "Rain Dinner's Casino," Vivi said before both Usopp and Luffy dashed towards the city. "Water." Naruto smirked as they walked to the city slowly. The crew sat near a fountain as they waited for Usopp and Luffy to come back. Chopper, now a full reindeer, left to use the restroom. As they waited, Nami stiffened as several kids ran close to them but acted like they weren't there. "I'm using what's called a genjutsu illusion technique. That's camouflaging us from everyone, including our voices," Naruto explained, laying against a palm tree before hearing Luffy yell out. Looking over to Luffy, they saw him and Usopp holding several barrels of water being chased by the Marines. "Should run," Naruto yelled out. But Tony isn't. Vivi was interrupted by Naruto, who created a clone. "I'll leave a clone for him when he gets back." They ran through the city and Naruto noticed several people holding everyone's but Sanji's picture. Taj Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. Multiple shadow clone technique. Naruto created 100 clones, then had them change into the others before scattering throughout the city. "Split up, head for wherever crocodile is." Naruto yelled before having one clone dispel to let Chopper know what happened. Naruto looked behind him and saw Smoker turn his lower body to smoke and fly after the real Luffy. "Must have one of those fruits," he said before jumping up over the rooftops and made his way to the casino. He dropped down behind four men pointing rifles as Usopp and Nami before Zoro kicked them away. "Where's Vivi?" Nami yelled at Zoro, who looked at her. "I told her to run ahead while I took care of the Marines." "You mean she isn't here?" Suddenly, they saw Luffy running up to them with Smoker hot on his heels. Naruto sighed before running inside the casino with the others. "Listen. I traveled an ocean to kick your ass, crocodile." Both Usopp and Nami hit Luffy on the head to shut him up. "Quiet. That won't make him come out. Besides, we're dealing with this country's hero. Do you want to turn these customers against us?" Naruto walked around the casino before Smoker chased after them. Naruto started walking after them but stopped before hearing a female voice. "Hello again, Uzumaki-san." Naruto turned to see Miss All Sunday smiling at him. "Come for more gambling? I don't think we can handle that." "Well, maybe I just wanted to see you again, Sunday-chan," Naruto replied with a smile. "SHC. And Smoker underneath Rain Dinners." Luffy and Usopp looked at the cage door in the cell they were in before Smoker pulled his jit out and hit Luffy, who groaned. "What? But attacks like that shouldn't hurt you. You're made out of rubber." Nami yelled before Smoker looked up. The tip of my weapon is made from Kermsiki, sea prism stone. A rare metal only existing in a certain part of an ocean on the far side of the world. Not much is known about it other than it can give off the same energy as the ocean, having the same effect on them, like they fell in the ocean. Cells at HQ are made from it to prevent devil fruit users from escaping them. Smoker finished explaining before Nami spoke. I'm sure this cell is made from it also. If it wasn't I would have escaped already. Smoker replied before hearing Crocodile, who was on the other end of the room in a chair. You all are going to die together, so why not get along? My associate will be bringing along our guest any minute. A few minutes later, Vivi walked in and glared at Crocodile. She jumped down and used a wire that had sharp jewels on it resembling PB tail feathers. She hit Crocodile and beheaded him. Crocodile's head turned to sand along with his body before re-emerging behind Vivi as Miss All Sunday walked down. Crocodile pushed Vivi down on a chair and walked away from his table. He looked back to Miss All Sunday, who brought a pocket watch out. It's noon. Time for Operation Utopia to begin. Crocodile laughed before explaining he's going to blow up Alabaster from a hidden bomb he's planted in the capital, and he plans to find an ancient weapon to overthrow the government. Crocodile picked up a key and dropped it down a hatch where a banana gator ate it. Crocodile walked to another door, explaining the room will be destroyed in 1 hour, flooding it with the lake's water. Suddenly, water started pouring in and filled the room. A banana gator cannoned through the door in the floor and growled. Vivi dodged a quick attack from it as it destroyed the stairs leading out. The banana gator hit Vivi with its tail and walked to her prone form. Purra purra purra. A den mushy starts ringing and Miss All Sunday answered it. Yes. She said before the others heard Sanji's voice. Hello. This is Mr. Prince. Sanji talked with Crocodile and Miss All Sunday until they heard a gunshot on the line. Boss. We got him. Vivi jumped up the stairs as Crocodile used sand to knock her back down. He and Miss All Sunday left through the tunnel and closed the door behind them. Above. Naruto was at a slot machine sitting beside Sanji, who's wearing yellow-tinted glasses. Naruto looked to see Crocodile and Miss All Sunday leave before standing up. The others are below us in an office. Naruto said before getting up and walked to the hallway. The others ran in and quickly knocked out the guards using a game jutsu. Illusion technique. To make it seem like the men were still guarding the door. Naruto kicked the door open and saw a large hole in the wall, quickly letting in the water before seeing a banana gator lunge at him. Naruto created a large blue Rasengan, spiraling sphere. And sent the gator flying back, knocking it out. Adama Rasengan. Big ball spiraling sphere. It coughed up a ball of wax before revealing Mr. 3, who drank the water and rehydrated himself. Sanji, take care of him. I remember Vivi saying that a Mr. 3 was with Baroque works. Sanji nodded as Naruto jumped in the waist-deep water and walked to the cell. Stand back. Naruto said, having all but Smoker move. Please. You're a devil fruity. Smoker stopped seeing Naruto grab the bars that had Kermsiki and created a regular Rasengan. Spiraling sphere. And destroyed the bars. Rasengan. Spiraling sphere. Naruto saw Luffy about to pass out before Yusuf picked him up. Let's go. Naruto said before looking at Smoker. Can you walk in this? Smoker nodded before he started to slowly walk in the water. Naruto jumped over to the stairs before dropping a rope to bring the others up. Go. The others looked to see Smoker, who spoke up. This is the only time I'm letting you Straw Hats go. They nodded before running to the outskirts of the city to follow after Crocodile. As they got to the edge, they saw Chopper and Eyelash riding a large crab. Hey guys. After looking in shock and awe, they jumped on and started traveling to the capital. Suddenly, a hook grabbed Vivi and pulled her away until Luffy replaces herself with him. Go on. He said as they continued. Luffy, getting up, glared at Crocodile and Miss All Sunday. Luffy glared before speaking as he dusted sand off of him. I guess you're the bigger fool here. Miss All Sunday chuckled at that. You think something's funny? Perhaps you'd like to die as well. Nico Robin. Robin, still keeping her smile, left. You can try. And didn't you promise you wouldn't call me by that name? Crocodile sighed before throwing a sand dial down in front of Luffy. 3 minutes all I need. He said as Luffy got in his stance. Gomu gomu no. Pistoru. Gum pistol. Luffy shot his fist forward and Crocodile dodged and turned into sand, turned back just in front of Luffy and tried to use his hook to cut his neck. Luffy bends backwards onto his hands before bringing his feet up. Gomu gomu no stampu. Gum stamp. Luffy's foot went through Crocodile's chest. Crocodile smirked as Luffy went flying when his leg came back, losing his cloak, hat and mug. Gomu gomu no Gataringu. Gum Gatling. All of Luffy's punches went through Crocodile. Give it up. He said as Luffy ran to him. Gomu no. Bazooka. Gum bazooka. Luffy lifts his leg up. Gomu no ono. Gum battle axe. Crocodile turned into sand and appeared a few feet away. Luffy ran up to him and tried hitting him. "I've had enough of this," Crocodile said annoyed. Crocodile raised his hand. "Des to sup da. Dessert spotta." Sand splits the ground coming at Luffy who dodges. "Holy crap," Luffy said seeing the gap from the attack. "Des to Girasmuri. Dessert Girasol." Putting his hand to the ground, Crocodile created a quicksand pit. Luffy tried running out but had no luck. "Gomu Gomu no. Dot bazooka. Gum Gum bazooka." Luffy hits the sand sending him high in the air. Luffy tried using a few moves until Crocodile caught his hand. "Let me go," Luffy said struggling to get out. "Barchin. Crescent Cutlass." Crocodile swung his right arm forward while leaving a crescent-shaped trail of sand behind it. Luffy's right arm suddenly shriveled up. "My arm looks like a mummy," Luffy exclaimed holding his arm in pain. Luffy realizing something ran to drink from his mug, turning his arm back. Luffy turned and ran at Crocodile. "Gomu Gomu no. Dot Baku, Baku. Gum Gum Munch Munch." Luffy bit the top half of Crocodile only to have him come out. "Your 3 minutes are up," Crocodile said raising his arm up. "Sables. Sandstorm." Crocodile created a sandstorm and sent it in the direction of Yuba. "No, you leave the old man alone," Luffy yelled charging Crocodile and grabbed him by the coat. Crocodile stabbed Luffy through his mug and chest, his hook coming out of his back, and lifted him up. "Did you think you could beat me?" he asked as blood dripped from his hook. Luffy grabbed his wrist and Crocodile's eyes widened, he pulled Luffy off and threw him into the quicksand and left. SHC. Everyone was sitting on the crab looking in the direction Luffy's in as Usopp told tall tales and Zoro was lifting eyelash with his sword. "Why are you doing that?" Nami asked as Sanji took a drag from his cigarette. "He's restless," Nami swan. "Guys like him have to move or they won't stay focused. Especially our muscle freak who's had a taste of the Shichibukai. 7 warlords." Sanji finished as Naruto laid down and watched the sky. Only to sigh as Sanji and Zoro butted heads above him. Naruto calmly stood up and grabbed their shoulders getting them to wince and sit down. "Not now." Nami, Usopp and Chopper looked on wide-eyed as Naruto took care of 2 of their crew's strongest fighters with no effort. As it got darker out, Usopp brought out a map showing the river separating them from Alabaster as Chopper explained the crab scissors is a land crab and doesn't like water. "It's coming up," Sanji yelled before Chopper had an idea. "Oh, I think I know a way to get him to cross. He likes dancing girls." Naruto facepalmed at that before Nami took off his cloak. "Am I cursed to be with perverts?" he thought before Scissors picked up speed and ran halfway across the river. And fell in forcing the others to swim as Zoro held Chopper who groaned because of his devil fruit. Suddenly, a large catfish jumped up and lunged at them before it was attacked by turtle-like creatures. "Dugans," Vivi exclaimed before Chopper spoke up. They said they were looking out for their fellow pupils. When they made it to the shore, they tried thinking of a way to get them to Alabaster fast before hearing quacks. Looking forward, they saw Karu with other large ducks with different headgear running to them. "The duck squadron," Vivi yelled out as the duck stopped by them. "2 of us will need to ride together," Vivi said before Nami quickly spoke up. "I got Naruto." Luffy. In the pit that Luffy was in, only his head was above ground as he struggled to get out. "Meat," he yelled panting. After a few minutes more sand came on him and suddenly hands sprouted around him and pushed him out and over to Robin. "Thank you," Luffy said weakly as she just stared down at him. "Why do you with the name of D fight?" she asked with Luffy panting. "D?" he asked looking up at her. "You don't know what I'm talking about," she said getting his hat and putting it on his chest. "I've found you." Robin turned around and saw Pell limping to her. After explaining where Vivi is and that Luffy's the one to bring her back, Robin left on a gator with a carriage on its back, leaving Pell who took Luffy to the closest village. The SHC. The Straw Hats wearing hoods ran towards Alabaster that's on a mountain as Naruto stayed with Vivi, who ran as the others had Mr. 1 through 4, with their partners chased after them, leaving the first entrance opened. Naruto rode behind Vivi, who stopped seeing the rebels ride to the entrance on horseback. She got off causing Naruto to grab her. "We can't stop them here. We need to get to the city and try to find your father," Naruto yelled as several horses ran past them like they weren't there. "They have tunnel vision at the moment." Crocodile had Mr. 2 attack a city as your father. Suddenly Usopp came up to them. "Hey Goo," he stopped as Naruto punched him down. "Let's go," Naruto said as Usopp changed to Mr. 2 as they ran to the city. Mr. 2 got up and chased after them inside the city. As they got to the top, Mr. 2 jumped at them. Naruto turned to fight, only for Sanji to kick Mr. 2 away. "Go on, I've got him," Sanji said fixing his tie. Naruto nodded before taking off on Karu with Vivi. "Chopper." Chopper was dodging holes that were coming out of the ground. "Who are you guys?" Chopper asked panting as Miss Merry Christmas laughed. Introducing Mr. 4. She announced as Mr. 4 came out of one of the holes holding his bat. A while later Usopp came up to a downed Chopper. "Chopper," Usopp said running over to him. Chopper got up and explained how Miss Merry Christmas ate the Mogu Mogu no Mi, mole mole fruit, and Mr. 4 and their dog. "What are you talking about, Chopper?" Usopp asked before dodging a baseball shot by a dog with the body of a gun. Mr. 4 jumped out of a hole and hit the ball to them as an explosion hit. They started dodging more balls as Chopper explained more of their owners. 4 tons. Usopp exclaimed as Miss Merry Christmas berated Mr. 4. She explained how the dog Lasso is really a gun that ate the Inu Inu no Mi model. Dachshund. Dog fruit model. Dachshund. Miss Merry Christmas changed into her hybrid form and she and Mr. 4 and Lasso disappeared also. Mr. 4 came up and hit a baseball Lasso shot into the air and rolled over to Usopp and an explosion rocked the area. Miss Merry Christmas in her hybrid form looked around and saw Chopper in his reindeer form pulling Usopp out of the way. "I see you're his own type," she commented before looking at Mr. 4. "Let's go," she said jumping in a hole with Mr. 4 following. Usopp and Chopper were looking around when Lasso came out and shot 3 balls at them. Chopper transforming into his human form ran to Mr. 4 who came up to hit the 3 balls only to have Miss Merry Christmas grab his ankle. "Hold on, it's no fun if there is no batter," she said when Mr. 4 hit the 3 balls to Chopper. Chopper changed into his hybrid form letting the balls fly by. "Dumb mole," he said trying to hit Miss Merry Christmas but she went underground. Chopper, back in his human form, tried hitting Mr. 4 only to have him go under too. Chopper think up a strategy suddenly realized something. "Where's Usopp?" he asked looking around, as did the others. They heard him in one of the holes. He jumped up holding a big mallet with 5T on it. "Usopp Pondo. Usopp pound." He slammed Mr. 4 on the head. Miss Merry Christmas and Chopper looked on wide-eyed as Usopp walked in front of Miss Merry Christmas telling stories about himself. Usopp started attacking her as she kept going in and out of holes. Mr. 4 woke up as everyone looked mouth gaping and in Usopp's case sweating and shaking. How did he survive a hit with a 5-ton hammer? Miss Merry Christmas thought when Lasso shot a ball at the hammer, showing it was just 2 pans. "It's a fake," Chopper yelled at Usopp before they started bickering. Miss Merry Christmas gained a dangerous aura and went underground. She came up and punched Usopp. "Mr. 4, Lasso take care of the reindeer," she said as Mr. 4 brought out his bat with Lasso shooting hundreds of balls. Chopper ate a rumble ball and changed into his hybrid form just as Mr. 4 hits a bunch of balls. Brain point. Brain point. Chopper looks at him for a moment. Skmpoo. Scope. An explosion hits Chopper when he put his hooves together. As the smoke cleared it showed Chopper wobbling a little, he gained his footing and put his hooves back together. "Got it," Chopper said running to Lasso and kicked up sand causing him to sneeze. Chopper grabs him and points him in a hole. "Run Usopp," Chopper said with Usopp getting up. A huge explosion rocked the ground and sent Chopper and Usopp flying. The smoke cleared showing Mr. 4 standing barely hurt. Usopp tried running away only for Miss Merry Christmas grabbing his ankle. "Nice try," she said and went on to explain that Luffy died fighting Crocodile. "You're lying," Usopp said glaring at her as she laughed. They continued to argue for a while until Miss Merry Christmas started pulling him into a wall and over to Mr. 4 who hit him with his bat. He landed a few feet away as Chopper ran to Mr. 4. There are times when a man. They turned and saw Usopp with a broken nose and blood dripping on his face standing up. "Must fight and not run. And one of them is when a friend's dream get laughed at." He finished with Miss Merry Christmas grabbed him again. Chopper changed into a new form with longer horns and ran alongside Usopp. Usopp shot a smoke bomb at Mr. 4 and jumped out of his shoes with Chopper pushing Miss Merry Christmas in the way of Mr. 4's bat. He hit her before hearing Usopp. "Hey you guy." Mr. 4 looked and saw Usopp pulling a hammer from Chopper's antlers. "Hisatsu Yuso Cho Ham Susei." Usopp Chopper attack. Hammer comet. The hammer hit Mr. 4 and Lasso sending them into some debris beside Miss Merry Christmas knocking them out. Lasso coughs out one ball creating an explosion. "Usopp are you okay?" Chopper asked tending to him. Naruto and Vivi. Naruto jumped across the rooftops holding Vivi bridal style before jumping down at a blockade with royal guards. "Are you aligned with the rebels?" One guard asked before they noticed Vivi Haim. "Princess." Vivi got down and looked to them. "I need to see my two-sama. Father." The guards looked to each other before speaking. "Well. Then take me to Chaka," she said as they took her down the road. Later, they walked to the palace before Naruto spoke up. "I'm going to see if the others need any help." He ran to the edge and jumped off, flying down to the buildings below. Sanji vs. Mr. 2. Sanji and Mr. Two were exchanging blows until they both kicked each other in the face, knocking them both into opposite buildings. Get out of my way. Mr. Two said, pointing to Sanji. Hell no, you've to go through me. Sanji said, dusting off. They continued exchanging blows with Mr. Two blocking all of Sanji's moves. Mr. Two turned into Usopp. Let's see. Sanji just kicked him. How could you hit your friend? Mr. Two asked as Sanji lit a cigarette. I know you're not him. Sanji said with Mr. Two getting up. Going through a friendship speech. Mr. Two suddenly changed into Nami, having Sanji swoon. Going back and forth as Nami and himself, he smiled. Well, there's an idea. Sanji ran at him only for him to change into Nami. Nami swan. Sanji swooned only for Mr. Two to kick him. You're nothing but talk. He taunted in Nami's voice. Sanji tried to kick him, only for Mr. Two to fien scared, causing Sanji to swoon. All this heat makes me want to tear my clothes off. He said as Sanji ran up, heart popping out of his head. Akama choppu. Ballet chop. Knocking Sanji with a chop. Mr. Two jumps in the air, changes into his original form and kicks Sanji in the face with both feet. Kiri point. Kick point. Sanji onto him and jumps up in the air after dodging a move from Mr. Two. Mr. Toe changed into Nami again. Sanji, what are you doing? He asked as Sanji faltered and was attacked. Mr. Two laughed and started spinning. There's a flaw in your attack. Sanji said as he kicked Mr. Two. What the hell are you talking about? Mr. Two asked as Sanji smirked and explained he needed to be in his form to attack. So what? Mr. Two said, putting the swans from his shoulder on his feet. He tried to kick Sanji only to have him dodge and kick a wall. He punched a hole in the wall. Sanji thought as Mr. Two pulled his foot from the wall. And no cracks. Sanji finished seeing a perfect hole. After exchanging some blows, Mr. Two kicked Sanji in the shoulder. Damn, his reach is longer now. Sanji thought as Mr. Two jumped in the air, came down and tried to kick him. Sanji jumps up as Mr. Two changed into Nami. Hey, there's something on your left cheek. Sanji said with Mr. Two touching his left cheek and changed back. Bisukumto. Bass coat. Sanji kicks him in the face and landed. Ranju. Longe. Sanji kicks him in the back. Tandarin. Tendrin. Following with a kick to the collarbone. Furinch. Flanched. Sanji kicks Mr. Two in the stomach just as Mr. Two also kicked him. They continued exchanging blows with both going on their hands every now and then. After kicking the other down, they got back up. After one more kick, they both land a few feet from each other back to back. Sanji suddenly fell to his knees and Mr. Two flew into one of the buildings. Sanji lit a cigarette and walked over to him. I surrender. Mr. Two said, panting. Sanji looked down. You're still alive? Sanji asked. All you need to do is turn into one of the girls. Mr. Two shook his head. Sanji pulled him up, shook his hand, and knocked him out before taking Usopp's goggles. Zoro and Nami. Zoro blocked Mr. One's arms as they turned to blades. The support behind him was sliced as Mr. One looked to him. Miss Doublefinger walked over and explained Zoro was the pirate who attacked all 100 of their men at Whiskey Peak and turned down an offer to join them several years ago. Mr. One attacked again as Nami vanished with Miss Doublefinger walked after her smoking a pipe. Nami vs. Miss Doublefinger. Nami was hiding behind a building panting. I wonder how the others are doing. Some help I am. Nami thought, looking up. She thought back to just before docking in Alabaster. Flashback. You want me to build you a weapon? Usopp asked as he stopped working on his weapon. Luffy messed with a sleeping chopper. Yes, or do work to my staff. I'm just the pretty face and have a great figure. She said crossing her legs as she sat on the table. Nami pushed Luffy and Chopper out and closed the door before turning to Usopp. Me and you are not as strong as the others or have devil fruit powers, so please. She begged Usopp, who looked down. That's the reason you're always making new invention. She said as Usopp sighed. Okay. He said as she smiled. Now we don't have much time, so it probably won't be perfect. Usopp said as Nami thanked him and left. Flashback end. Nami stood up and pulled her staff out of the holster. She was suddenly stabbed in the shoulder and fell to the floor as small holes came through and the part fell down, showing Miss Doublefinger walking out. Give up. She said with Nami grabbing her staff and stood up. I know what you're thinking. Miss Doublefinger said as Spike came out of her wrists. I ate the Toj no me. Spike fruit. She finished as Nami walked in front of her. Don't tell me you're going to try and fight me. She said with Nami put her staff together and thought back to when Usopp gave it back to her. Stay back or face my claim attacked. She said, putting her stave in a triangle. Fine tempo. Do doves pop out and flew away. Oh look, it's doves. Nami said with a chuckle. Damn thing. Nami threw her staff on the ground and sat down depressed. You alright? Miss Doublefinger asked raising an eyebrow. Nami fixing her staff to look like a rifle and aimed it at Miss Doublefinger. Karate tempo. Cloudy tempo. Flowers came out the end. Oh now it's flowers. Nami threw her staff on the ground again, with Miss Doublefinger looking on. She started attacking Nami with her spikes. Give it up. She said as Nami stood up and puts her staff in a Y shape. Sand tempo. Thunder tempo. She shot out a punching glove that didn't reach Miss Doublefinger. Suiting fing dot, stinger finger. Turning her fingers into spikes, Miss Doublefinger slashes Nami's cheek. Nami screamed and ran away hiding in a nearby barrel. My cheek's been cut. She thought seeing the blood on her hand. She pulled the direction to her weapon and gasped. I'm going to kill you now. Miss Doublefinger said sticking to a arch. She fell down and changed into a ball of spikes. Suiting Hedgehogu. Hedgehog stinger. She crashed on the ground missing Nami. Nami started running with Miss Doublefinger on her heels. She jumped into a building, turned around taking off her cloak and using it to move Miss Doublefinger away and left. Where is it? She asked looking through the direction, and after gaining a tick mark from finding out the other attacks was intentional, she found the real attacks. Alright. She said standing up and facing Miss Doublefinger who was looking for her. She tore off her jewelry and ripped her dress to move better. I'm through running away. She said staring at Miss Doublefinger. She took her staff apart and blew into each part having different bubble come from each. The first red. H plus did Maru. Heat ball. The second blue, Croup Maru. Cool ball. And the third yellow. Sand Maru. Thunderball. Miss Doublefinger took a drag from her pipe. Are you done? She asked, then she ran at Nami, long spikes coming from her heels. Smingu suiting dot. Sewing stinger. She stabs Nami in the leg causing her to fall. She tried to step on Nami, only for her to block and threw her into some barrels. The two pieces flew back to Nami in the shape of an X. Nami walked over to a building just as Miss Doublefinger was getting up. Don't turn your back on an enemy. Miss Doublefinger said, stabbing Nami only to have Nami disappear. She turned around to see Nami as she explained what she did. Nami started running with Miss Doublefinger on her heels. After dodging some attacks, Nami stood in front of Miss Doublefinger thinking on what to do. Rain tempo. Rain tempo. Nami taking a piece in each hand and balances one on her head. Water started coming out of each. She started spinning. Superinker dot, sprinkler. Miss Doublefinger hair turned into spikes and charged Nami. SH plus a chance suiting dot, sea urchin stinger. Nami dodged and started blowing out heat balls into the air. Miss Doublefinger stabs her shoulder and they became muscular. Tojd Bingu. Spike doping. Her arms grew small spikes and she charged Nami. Suiting Furail. Spike flail. Nami ducks causing Miss Doublefinger to punch a pillar, causing part of a building to crumble. Suddenly a cloud formed over them and lightning struck Miss Doublefinger. Nami getting behind Miss Doublefinger puts her staff into a T, aims it at her. Miss Doublefinger charged her with her hair now spikes. Nami blocked the attack with her staff and left foot. AAHHH. She screamed being pushed back. Tore into tempo. Tornado tempo. She yelled and after two bright flashes two clockwork doves came out. The bird started wrapping around Miss Doublefinger and the top piece started spinning, Miss Doublefinger along with it. She was suddenly shot into a building, leaving an imprint of her in different positions on each wall. Nami walked over, saw she was knocked out and sat down. You alright, Nami-chan? Nami jumped before seeing Naruto land beside her. Yeah. She replied standing. Only to wince as put weight on her left foot. Hold on. Naruto picked her up bridal style before walking down the road. Missing the blush on Nami's face. Zoro vs. Mr. 1. Zoro and Mr. 1 were exchanging blows, the bottoms of Mr. 1's arms, fingers and legs taking the shape of blades from eating the Supa no Mi. Dice fruit. You look familiar. Zoro said, stopping his attack. Yeah, you were a bounty hunter, one of the fiercest in the West Blue. He continued putting his bandana on. Let me show you the difference in pride between our swords. Zoro finished pulling out his swords, placing two to look like bull horns. Santoryu. Ushibari. 3 sword style. Bull needles. He ran towards Mr. 1 hitting him in multiple places. Supe dot, spider defense. None of Zoro's attacks worked. So your body's hard as steel and I can't cut steel yet, I guess there's only one thing left to do. Zoro said, putting his words away so he can take off his cloak. What's that? Mr. 1 asked, turning around. I gotta learn to cut steel now. Zoro said, grinning, pulling out his swords. And when I defeat you, I'll be the swordsman that'll be strong enough to cut through anything. He finished getting into his stance. Mr. 1 just laughed at that. I've never been cut since eating the Supa no Mi. Dice fruit. I can't be defeated. He finished as Zoro just stared. Save that story for your grandkids because you've never faced me before. Zoro finished pointing a sword at Mr. 1. Mr. 1 ran at Zoro and tried kicking him with his leg only for Zoro to block. They continued exchanging blows. Onigiri. Demon slash. Zoro appeared on the other side of Mr. 1 who fell to the ground. Zoro jumped in the air and came down onto Mr. 1. Torgari. Tiger trap. Panting Zoro looks over his shoulder and saw Mr. 1 completely unharmed. I told you. Mr. 1 said plainly. They continued exchanging blows with Mr. 1 pushing Zoro back. Hapm Hinajiku-zan. Sparkling daisy. Putting his hands together Mr. 1 lunges at Zoro with Zoro blocking. The building behind him suddenly sliced into 5 sections. Goodbye. Mr. 1 said pushing Zoro into the falling building. Mr. 1 started walking away until he heard a noise behind him. He turned and saw Zoro holding a huge chunk of the building bleeding. It was a promise, I'm going to cut steel and you're going to die. Mr. 1 just stared at him. I doubt that. Zoro threw the chunk at him. Adamiku Supa. Atomic spar. Bringing his arms down in X Mr. 1 cuts the chunk in pieces, Zoro slashing the pieces as well came up to Mr. 1. Kazami Dori. Crab seas. Zoro parallel holding his swords brought them down for a guillotine effect, knocking Mr. 1 away. Mr. 1 got up and created blades on his forearms and they started to spin. Super Air Horm. Spiral Hollow. Zoro ran up and tried to cut him creating sparks. Mr. 1 punches him a few times leaving gashes on his chest. There's only one thing left for you. Mr. 1 said fingers turning into blades. Death. He yelled striking Zoro and knocking his swords out of his hands and knocking him into a pillar. Mr. 1 walked over to Zoro who sat up leaning on the pillar. Sup Yuriku. Spar break. He slashes Zoro cutting the pillar also. Die in peace. Mr. 1 said leaving just as the part the pillar was holding came down on Zoro. Hearing something, he turned around and saw Zoro standing and panting hard. I feel them, my swords. Zoro thought looking at the rubble. There, one of them is under that rock. He walked over picked up Wado. He thought about what his teacher told him when he was younger. I get it now. He finished just as Mr. 1 spoke up. How the hell did you survive that? He asked yelled with Zoro running the blade across a tree branch, then slashing a rock. I see the rhythm. He thought before turning to Mr. 1. Putting Wado back in the sheath Zoro turns it around and puts it at his waist. Mr. 1 turned his hands into blades and charged him. Mijin Zansoku TM. Atomic spurt. Zoro ran past him. Itmurkai. Shishi Sunsen. 1 sword style. Lion's song. Sheathing his sword Mr. 1 suddenly gained a gash on his chest and fell over just as Zoro fell to his knees. Vivi Palace. Vivi held a detonator as Crocodile explained about the poneglyph about one of the ancient weapons Pluton is hidden in the country as Robin stood by Cobra who was nailed to the door. It must be a secret passed down among the royal family. Taka said with a hand on his chin as he watched Crocodile who explained he'll use the weapon to rule, get the pirates under his banner and overthrow the government. Suddenly, the doors broke open and 4 muscular guards walked in and started to become more muscular. Those bruises. Chaka said looking at the bruise covering their arms. They drank the elixir. Chaka explained about the elixir that grants the drinker with strength only to kill them later. The guards dashed at Crocodile who disappeared in sand and appeared above the roof. Chaka glared up as the men fell dead before changing into a jackal and dashed up to Crocodile. Inu Inu no Mi model. Jackal. Dog fruit model. Jackal. Chaka sliced Crocodile only for him to reform back and slice Chaka. Naruto and Nami later. Naruto stopped as he came up to the others with a heavily bandaged Usopp before hearing Luffy's voice. Guys. They looked to see Luffy with a barrel strapped to his back, riding Pell in his hawk form, and Vivi. Naruto dropped Nami and had Sanji in his face. Why is Nami SW Naruto hit Sanji on the head before Luffy shot himself up to the palace? I found her after she fought Yuiro Baka. Perverted idiot. Naruto yelled before Vivi explained there's a bomb hidden in the square. Shit. Naruto said before creating a bunch of clones. Well, what are you waiting for? Let's move. The SHC Vivi and Naruto. I'm sorry guys. Luffy said with his arm stretched up to the palace as Naruto's clones dashed through the city. I know I lost to him once already but this time, I'm going to win. The rest is up to you. Luffy shot himself up to the top as the crew, Vivi and Naruto ran to the city. Luffy vs. Crocodile. Luffy shot up in the air and pulled back his left fist. Crocodile stood still as Luffy brought his fist forward and punched him. Blood came out of his mouth as he fell to the ground before Luffy grabbed him with outstretched arms. Crocodile looked up to see Luffy spinning his body like a saw blade. Gomu gomu no. Marinoko. Gum gum buzzsaw. Luffy brought his body forward and headbutted Crocodile, who fell to the ground. Luffy panted before speaking. Get up, I figured something out when my Yuba water dropped on your hand. Once you've touched water you can't turn into sand. Luffy brought up a hose and wets his hand again. You took all the rain because you're afraid of water. I know how to defeat you, Crocodile. Our real fight starts now. SHC Vivi and Naruto. Clang. Naruto blocked an attack from one of Crocodile's men as he tried to attack Vivi with an axe. Naruto's clones ran around attacking the men with various jutsus before looking to the others. I'll handle the men, let's find that bomb. Before they could move, they heard one of his clones from the clock tower. Boss. They looked up to see a Naruto clone standing inside the tower as the clock's face was opened with an unconscious man and woman by his feet. I found the bomb. But you're the one with the ceiling scroll, it's on a timer. Naruto knocked another man away before running to the tower and up the wall. Naruto pulled out a scroll, pulled it open, and put it on the large cannon before it disappeared in a cloud of smoke. He threw it to his clone before speaking. Take it in the middle of the desert. The clone nodded before jumping out of the tower and jumped across the rooftops. Luffy vs. Crocodile. Crocodile sat up and grinned at Luffy, who dropped his head. Come on. You think you can defeat me? Luffy just stared down at him. Sure do know that I've figured out how to keep you from turning into sand. Crocodile chuckled at that before speaking. I'll admit, I'm impressed you figured it out. Especially since you're about to die. But I hope you realize that won't be enough to defeat me. I am one of the Shichibukai. 7 warlords. After all. Luffy scoffed at that. So what? I guess that makes me the 8th. Luffy yelled before he shot his fist forward. Gomu gomu no. Pistoru. Gum gum pistol. Crocodile leaned away from the attack and grabbed Luffy's outstretched arm. But can still dodge attacks. Luffy's arm started to dehydrate rapidly. And I can still absorb the water in or on your body. Luffy cursed before dashing over and kicked Crocodile. Crocodile turned into sand, having Luffy drink water from the barrel to being his arm back to normal. Okay, not bad. Luffy said before dousing himself with water. But remember when you told me that devil fruit powers get stronger? He shot his arm forward before flicking it like a rubber band, having it look like his fist multiplied. Gomu gomu no. Pistoru shadow. Gum gum pistol shotgun. Crocodile jumped out of the way before attacking. As to sup da. Desert spada. Luffy barely dodges as the sand created a gap in the ground. Luffy dashes over and threw a punch at Crocodile. He pulled it back in a feint and hit him with his other hand. Luffy threw the barrel at the downed Crocodile to get him wet. Only for Crocodile to create a tornado, throwing the barrel up in the air. Luffy grabbed it and fell to the ground in a crouch as Crocodile laughed. Luffy surprised everyone by drinking the barrel and became waterlogged. Crocodile glared before dashing over. Only to get hit with water that Luffy spat out at him. Luffy threw his arms back before hitting Crocodile in the stomach. Gomu gomu no bazooka. Gum gum bazooka. Crocodile flew back and hit a gazebo as Luffy wiped water from his mouth. How was that? Luffy looked to see Robin take Cobra as Crocodile bursts out of the rubble and puts his hand to the ground. Listen up, Straw Hat, I'm going to destroy every last rock on this ground. And you along with them. Luffy's eyes widened as everything dried up or was destroyed. Irondo Secco. Ground Secco. Luffy shot several balls of water at Crocodile, who simply absorbed them. You really thought you could kill my powers with water, didn't you? Crocodile asked with a glare. He put his hand back on the ground and continued to dry everything around him. Garando Dezu. Ground Death. Luffy jumped off the side as he held his hat. As he got up, he saw Crocodile standing above him before spitting water at him. Crocodile let the water past him as he took all the water out of Luffy's body. Crocodile turned into sand and left to catch up with Robin just as the water fell down. Nico Robin. Robin took Cobra down the street, not noticing a shadow above her before as Tashigi and Marines ran in front of her. Robin used her powers to strangle the group behind Tashigi as one of the free men explained that 20 years ago, Robin got a 79 million berry bounty after attacking and destroying several warships. Suddenly, a line of Naruto's clones dropped and separated Robin from the groups. I got the bomb out of here, Cobra. Naruto said before addressing the Marines. The Shichibukai. Warlord. Crocodile is planning on getting an ancient weapon to destroy the world government. He's somewhere at the palace last I checked. The Marines faltered before each Naruto created a Rasengan. Spiraling sphere. And eyes glowed red. Move. All but Tashigi left running, having all but Naruto disappear in a cloud of smoke. Are you helping her? Tashigi asked, pointing her sword at Naruto. Nope. I'm helping this country survive. Naruto said before disappearing in a flurry of leaves. Tashigi blinked before noticing Robin was missing. Naruto dropped down in a courtyard and saw a crocodile walk down hidden stairs. Discreetly following after him, Naruto saw a crocodile talk to Robin at a large stone block with writing on it about a weapon named Pluton. No. This only talks about this country's history. Robin replied, making crocodile sigh. I see, I guess I've got to kill you now. Robin's eyes widened as he took a swipe at her with his hook. He knocked her hat off as she ducked under before she picked up a vial of water. I knew this day would come, so I had this. She threw the vial at Crocodile before a hand appeared on his shoulder and grabbed it. Crocodile disappeared in sand, having the vial drop and break. She quickly looked around before gasping as someone grabbed her and she found herself by the wall with Cobra. Looking ahead, she saw Crocodile with his hook outstretched where she was standing. Well, that's not cool. Robin looked to her right to see Naruto walking over to Crocodile. Her eyes widened as she saw Naruto suddenly grab Crocodile by the throat. Crocodile looked on wide-eyed as Naruto's closed eyes gained orange pigmentation around them. Naruto opened the showing they turned yellow and gained toad-like vertical bars in place of his pupils. Suddenly, everything shook as Naruto created a Rasengan spiraling sphere and hit Crocodile, who was sent to the wall. Naruto dashed to him and brought his fist back. Crocodile. Naruto stopped his fist in front of Crocodile's face as he heard Luffy's yell. Seems like Luffy's on his way, too bad he's called dibs on ya. Naruto walked back to Cobra, who held a brick, and explained he's triggered a trap that'll cause the room to cave in right as a bleeding Luffy ran inside by breaking through the wall. Crocodile looked on as Luffy dashed to him and kicked him in the jaw. Crocodile hit the wall and cracked it before looking to Luffy. Luffy cracked his knuckles before stretching his fist back and punched him. I see. You're using your blood. Luffy nodded before coughing more blood on his hands. Yeah. Blood's water too, isn't it? Crocodile chuckled before standing. You should be rewarded. First rain base, then the palace, now this tomb. I've put you through hell twice and no. Crocodile stopped to dodge Luffy's kick before touching his hook. He pulled on it and revealed the gold was covering a silver hook with holes on it as purple gas escaped from it. You're a pirate, Straw Hat. You've certainly proven that with your determination to defeat me no matter what. And I'll admit. You've become a persistent, annoying opponent throughout these 3 encounters. Luffy looked at him for a moment before speaking. Alright. What's that? Crocodile dropped the lid before raising his hook. It's a poisonous hook. Luffy just stared at him for a moment longer. I see. You seem to be a competent pirate. So you should know that a duel between pirates is a duel for survival. And when that's the case. There's no such thing as playing dirty. Crocodile said as Luffy got in his stance. The ceiling started to fall as Luffy shot his fist forward. Crocodile brought his hook down and scratched Luffy's arm, having him bring his arm back. Luffy dashed forward and threw a punch at Crocodile. Gomu Gomu no. Pistoro. Gum Gum Pistol. Crocodile raised his hand, having Luffy stop his attack, lean to his side and bring his leg up over Crocodile's hand. Crocodile leaned back to dodge before bringing his hook to graze Luffy's leg and hit a boulder. Luffy jumped away, looked back and gasped, seeing the boulder melt from the hook's poison. Luffy panted as a pillar fell between them. They both ran towards the pillar before Luffy kicked through it and kicked Crocodile in the jaw. Luffy grabbed Crocodile by the arm and spun around to heel kick him in the side of the head. Crocodile was sent to the wall and hit it. Luffy threw several punches at Crocodile, who dodged as more debris fell. Luffy lost his footing as Crocodile smiled and explained he had poison in his system. Whatever you want isn't in this country. You're fighting for another person's gold now. Like I said, you don't understand anything. Vivi is always telling people not to risk their lives, but she's the first one to lay hers on the line for her friends. Helping each other is what friends do. Luffy glared at Crocodile as he groaned from the poison in his system. Well, good thing I got rid of that bomb. This is taking longer than I thought. Crocodile looked to see Naruto standing by Robin, arms crossed. Naruto just stared right back before flipping him off just as Luffy dashed over. Crocodile tried to stab him with his hook, only for Luffy to kick it down and break it. Luffy punched him in the stomach before kicking him in the face. As Crocodile flew, Luffy jumped after and punched him down to the floor. Luffy then grabbed him, brought him back, and had Crocodile hit the wall before jumping out of the way from debris. Crocodile got up and a knife came out from his broken hook to replace it. Crocodile dashed over and tried to stab Luffy. Do you have any idea who I am? Luffy ducked under the attack before speaking. I don't give a damn who you are. I will beat you. Luffy kicked him up to the ceiling before Crocodile created sand over his hand. Burusu. Pestu. Sables. Pisado. He threw down a ball of sand and created a shockwave. Naruto grabbed both Robin and Cobra before jumping away from the blast. Luffy took a deep breath before he expanded. Luffy started twisting before blowing down and shot himself up in the air. Crocodile created more sand that turned into blades before swinging them down. Des Terrasip. Desert La Spada. Luffy shot a barrage of fists up, broke through the blades, and pounded Crocodile. Gomu Gomu no Sutmu. Gum Gum Storm. Luffy continued his attack, forcing Crocodile towards the rock ceiling before punching him through it and high into the air. Luffy fell to the floor before a vial rolled over to him that Cobra picked up. It's the antidote for the poison. He looked back to see Robin leaning against a wall waiting for her death. Naruto picked her up over his shoulder as Luffy got up after taking the antidote and picked up Cobra. Leave me to die. There's nothing else for me now. Naruto rolled his eyes at that. There's bound to be more of those blocks. Your dream doesn't have to die. Her eyes widened at that as Naruto and Luffy jumped up to the hole and up to the city. Naruto put her down just as the others ran to them. Naruto looked back to them before turning back. Only to find Robin was nowhere to be seen. Till we meet again. He said before seeing the others minus Vivi and Cobra fell asleep just as rain started to pour down. Smoker's ship bay. Smoker. Where the hell is this rain coming from, asked a tall and slim woman with straight waist-length pink hair that she wears in the middle part. She has dark brown eyes and red lipstick. She is smoking a cigarette. She's wearing a burgundy purple two-piece suit over a white blouse, as well as dark brown shoes and a pair of dark gloves. Smoker ignored her as he looked at several pictures of Naruto's clone fighting, showing them using different elements and several human-sized toads. The woman took a close-up picture of Naruto and smiled. He's handsome, Hina likes to bad he's a pirate. She said before folding the picture up and put it in her pocket. He's also has multiple powers. Plus Kermsiki. See Prism Stone. Doesn't affect him. Hina looked shocked at the last part. So either he has a devil fruit that allows him to swim and Kermsiki. See Prism Stone. Doesn't harm him, or he trailed off as Hina looked at another picture. We're dealing with something else entirely. They continued to talk about Hina helping out with the aftermath before Tashigi walked on the ship. 3 days later, Palace. Naruto without his coat passed a tall man with a small red nose and has blonde hair in a style that resembles the wigs worn during the 16th and 17th centuries in a robe. Beside him is a large woman with curly blonde hair. She looks almost identical to the man wearing a dark red tunic with an orange lining that has a white stripe. Under her tunic is a light blue shirt with white buttons. She also has bright red lipstick. Another woman walked past him and handed a paper to the large woman. She is a middle-aged woman with brown hair and dark eyes. She's wearing a purple common-made dress with a frilly white border and a white hat with a light-colored part in the front with an intricate design. He walked in to see the others with Luffy sitting on a bed in a robe with his straw hat. Vivi and the others brought Luffy up to speed as Terracotta brought a cart of food over that Luffy quickly ate by himself. Later, Naruto watched the war of the Straw Hats as they ate in the dining hall before quickly taking out a combat knife and slammed it in front of Luffy's hand. Try reaching for my ramen again and you'll lose a hand. Naruto said darkly as a hand got near his multiple bowls of ramen. Luffy quickly brought his hand back as they continued to eat as much as they could. Later, Naruto sat in the royal bath as the others minus Zoro played in the water. Hey, where the ladies side? Sanji asked as Igaram scolded him before Cobra pointed to the wall. Over there. They all quickly got up to see Vivi and Nami bathing with towels. Nami sighed before standing and flashed them her breasts. Everyone but Naruto fell back with nosebleeds, causing Nami to smirk. Naruto-kun want to join. Only 500,000 berries. Naruto shrugged at that. What the hell? He jumped down and slipped on a bar of soap, having his towel fall off. Both Nami and Vivi looked down, jaw dropped. He's huge. Nami yelled before passing out with a nosebleed followed by Vivi. Later that night. Igaram ran in and saw the room that the SHC was using was empty except for Vivi. She explained Naruto gave her a weird knife that'll have him teleport to its location no matter where he's at, and he went to check on the ship before finding Navy ships near the Mary, so he had to steer it to another spot. They left to get to the ship before the Navy finds them again. Igaram dropped 3 posters with pictures of Luffy, Zoro, and Naruto. Wanted dead or alive. Straw Hat Monkey D. Luffy. 100 million. Luffy's poster had him grinning with the peace sign. Wanted dead or alive. Pirate Hunter Rarano Zoro. 60 million. Zoro had him looking off to the distance with a serious look and half of his face shadowed. Wanted dead or alive. Elemental Sage Uzumaki Naruto. 78 million. Naruto's picture was a shot of him in the air with a Rasengan in hand ready to attack. SHC. Naruto created several clones to help bring the supplies on board as Mr. 2 and his crew was sitting beside them in their ship. Mr. 2 explained that now that Baroque Works was beaten they're no longer enemies and he wants to help them escape. Well, we can't stay here. Let's go. Naruto said walking to the steering pole. What the hell are you all waiting for? Attack with the cannons. Naruto yelled as he did his best to sal the Mary away from the attacking marine ships shooting large black spears at them. Naruto looked through the door and saw two Marines grinning at them. One is wearing a gaudy yellow button-up shirt with purple spots all over, a blue tie, and a standard Marine baseball cap. He has heart-shaped sunglasses and a goatee. The second is an average-sized man. His hair long and messy and a scar under his right eye and bolts attached to his knuckles. He's wearing a Marine cap, a navy blue shirt, orange plaid pants, and brown boots. Naruto saw the first pick up a disc on a string and waved it. Only for the ship to explode and fall on the other, destroying both. Naruto sailed to the opening. It's Black Cage. Naruto blinked before seeing a ship with Hina on it sailing in front of them. You guys sure you want to go to the east shore? Naruto asked, making the others nod. Naruto sighed before turning the pole as Bone Clay and his men left on their ship dressed like the Straw Hats. Hina followed after and destroyed the ship, having the merry sail off. More ships sailed in front of them. Luffy, Usopp and Sanji fired their cannons to destroy them before sailing to a bay where they heard Vivo's voice talking about battling Baroque works over loudspeakers. I see at least 6 Marine ships heading towards us. Usopp yelled as Luffy stared out to the bay. Naruto sighed as Nami told him Vivi wanted to continue traveling with them and they gave her 12 hours to think about it before deciding to stay or go with them. Everyone. The crew looked to see Vivi in a white dress and Kara with a den mushi on his head. I've come to say goodbye. She picked up the microphone and spoke. Sorry. But I can't go with you. Thank you so much for everything. I'd like to go on more adventures, but I can't ignore the needs of my country. Which I love more than anything. I have to stay, I hope you understand. I will remain here and fulfill my duties. If we ever meet again. No matter how much time has passed, will you still call me friend? Naruto noticed the others keeping quiet as the Marines closed in. Before they turned around to face the ocean and lift their left arms, showing a black X on their forearms. Vivi cried in joy before she and Kara lifted theirs before sailing away. Later. Naruto walked out in blue jeans and no shirt as he watched as everyone minus Zoro was depressed, laying with her through the railings on the upper deck. Oh come on, there was nothing you could do about it. It was like asking you to give up your dreams to stay with her. Naruto said, making them sigh. Looks like we finally escaped the firing squad. Naruto blinked as he felt hands on his shoulder before looking back. He saw Robin in tight purple pants and black button shirt with several buttons left open to show her cleavage. Oh hey Robin. You awake? She smiled as the others minus Chopper, Luffy and Sanji started freaking out and brought out their weapons. Only for a hand to appear on their arms and knock their weapons to the floor. Don't point those at me. Robin said, walking away while trailing a finger on Naruto's shoulder. Where did you get those clothes? Nami yelled out as Robin pulled a folding chair off the railing. I borrowed yours and Naruto's. Uzumaki Naruto. Robin trailed off as Naruto stared at her with his hands in his pockets. It hasn't been long that you've forgotten about what you did to me, have you? Naruto raised an eyebrow before ducking as Sanji lunged at him, hitting the wall. Don't do that. And the only thing I did was keep you from killing yourself. And so my life is now on your hands, I would like to join with you. The others just stared at her. What? She leaned her head on her hand and explained how Naruto saved her from the tomb. Sure. Luffy said, shrugging. Later, Usopp was asking Robin questions while using her powers to play with Luffy and Chopper. Chopper noticed she was staring at him and hid behind Luffy. Backwards as he put his hooves on Luffy and stayed in sight. Naruto walked over just as Sanji, with a heart replacing his eye, brought Robin a cup of tea. Nami, who was sitting on top of the stairs, looked down. I don't buy it, you try anything and I'll personally throw you off. I'll keep that in mind. Oh yeah, I took some of Crocodile's treasure. Robin said, dropping a bag of jewels. Nami quickly appeared beside her with dollar signs in her eyes. Welcome Rabinichan. Sister. Naruto, who was leaning against the mast, looked at Usopp and Zoro, who was quietly talking about being the only ones with their heads on straight. Well, Sanji is thinking with his head. Just not the one on his shoulders. Naruto replied before Usopp noticed Luffy with 2 hands on his heads acting like Chopper. Usopp fell down laughing as both Naruto and Zoro walking to the top deck. This ship has charm, is it always this lively? Robin asked as Zoro stared. Yes. It usually is. Zoro replied as Robin smiled and walked to the figurehead. I didn't save you on a whim. Robin looked to her left and saw Naruto. Then why did you? Naruto smiled at her before turning around. You've got the same look that stares back at me in the mirror. I just saw myself in you. A few days later. Island. Naruto woke up from the couch in the kitchen and fell to the floor. He got up in only black boxers and heard a hum. Stiffening, he looked to see Robin smiling at him drinking coffee at the table. After quickly getting dressed, they landed on a deserted island with fruit trees before having everyone but Chopper, a clone of Naruto's, and Robin go to collect food and log the island for Nami's map. The clone of Naruto saw Robin reading a book before looking to see Chopper in the crow's nest. We're low on fresh water. I'll go get some. Naruto said, taking several barrels with him to the island as Robin and Chopper followed. Naruto walked through the woods as Chopper talked about his time in Drum Kingdom before filling both barrels and returned to the Mary. Later in the night, Naruto's clones and Zoro were the only ones who brought food back, having Nami berate everyone. Naruto noticed Robin far off from the others before taking her a plate of food. The next day, Luffy and Usopp fished off the side before both of their pokes almost pulled them in the ocean. Pulling them back, a large ammonite-shaped vehicle out. Suddenly, a hatch opened and a man in a suit with slick back hair jumped out. "Nice to meet you. I'm from a Den Mushy delivery service." He brought out a stack of magazine and smiled at them. He showed them everything he sells and brought out several items with kitchen cutlery, history books, and weights. "Do you sell map paper?" The man blinked before nodded and brought out a large stack of paper out. "Yes, we do. 1,000-year paper. Guaranteed to last a lifetime and won't fade even being in the sun for 1,000 years. I'll take it. No matter the price." Nami said, shocking the others. 68 million berries. Nami opened her mouth but stopped as Naruto spoke up. 75 million for everything. Nami looked at him and blinked. "You sure, Naruto-kun?" Naruto nodded before walking to the kitchen. "Yeah. Luffy will just bug us if we don't." The man started to sweat before jumping back in his vehicle and left. Naruto walked out with a scroll before seeing the man was gone but left the stuff. "Well, his loss," Naruto said as Nami quickly took the paper and went to her room. "Now. While I work on my maps, you all clean the ship." She closed her door, having everyone start to clean. Naruto placed a tag on the door to keep sound out before he started to clean. Later, Naruto steered the Mary away from waterspouts just as Nami walked out and blinked. "How the hell did I not hear any of this?" she asked as Naruto pointed to her door. "I placed something to keep sound out." Next morning, Naruto, wearing faded jeans and a black camouflage shirt, stretched as he walked out and watched the others looking out to the ocean. He looked up in the sky and his eyes widened. "Holy shit," he yelled as a very large ship fell down beside them upside down. Everyone screamed as they held onto something as the waves shook the Mary. Once everything died down, Nami blinked as she stared at her log pose. "It's broken." It's pointing straight up in the sky. Robin shook her head at that before speaking. "No. Out here in the Grand Line the log pose is the only thing you can rely on. It must be pointing to Sky Island." The others just stared at her. "Sky Island? Is there really such a thing?" Naruto asked as Robin shrugged. "It's an entire ocean above us." Luffy and Usopp cheered and started to get the Mary ready to sail. Only for Robin to use her power to clamp their mouths shut and stop moving. "All I know is word of mouth. But I'd bet my life the log pose is telling the truth." Later, Robin was studying one of the skeletons that fell with the ship that was slowly sinking. She saw 3 small holes in the skull as she pieced it together. "What's that?" Naruto asked as he knelt beside her. "This is from an old medical procedure called craterization, right, Dr. San?" Topper nodded as he hid by the mast. "Yes, they cut a small hole to remove a small mass like a tumor and it leaves those craters behind. Hence the name." Robin hummed as she looked at the skull. "Based on the procedure. I'd say this man has been dead for 200 years at least. And that he was in his early 30s. And his teeth are in surprising good condition. Because he rubbed tar on them. It was a common practice in the South Blue to protect against bacteria. He was with an exploratory party as well." She narrowed her eyes before reaching for a book and skimmed through it. "Here it is." They looked to see an old picture of the ship beside them. This was taken 208 years ago. Naruto looked over and sweat dropped as the ship sank and Luffy was drowning. He took off his shirt and jumped over, grabbed Luffy, and jumped back. "I found the most incredible thing." Luffy held an old map with Skypia on the top. "It's real?" Nami asked, snatching the map out of Luffy's hands. Later. "Ha ha ha." Naruto laughed seeing the barrels Sanji, Zoro, and Luffy wore with Luffy's being a full body to keep him safe. "Ha ha ha ha, I can't stop laughing." Naruto fell down as Zoro gained a tick mark before they dropped with air hoses hooked to the Mary. After a few minutes, the crew heard chanting before seeing an island-themed ship with a large monkey figurehead holding symbols. The man jumped up and looked at them. He has ape-like features, he's wearing an orange-yellow jumpsuit and also has headphones and goggles. And he has a tail. He also has huge arms and some kind of piercing around his wrists. "What are you doing here? Don't you know all sunken vessels belong to me?" Masira Marissa said, causing the crew to blink. "Really?" Nami asked as Naruto plugged the speakers the others are using to talk to them to not draw attention. Nami flirted with them to keep them from noticing the air hoses going down. Several men in scuba suit jumped in the water before coming back up a few minutes later as ropes and the monkey figurehead went under. Masira blew into a hose and Naruto looked over the edge of the Mary. He saw air bubbles before hearing screaming from Masira's crew over their speakers before Masira jumped in the water. "Crap." Naruto said before a very large turtle came out of the water. With the ship in its mouth. Does anyone else see the monster the size of an island in front of us? Nami yelled asked as Naruto saw the turtle's mouth open a little. He started to swim away pulling both ships with it. We need to cut. The Naruto stopped as it suddenly got very dark out and the turtle stopped. Suddenly, Zoro, Sanji, and Luffy out of their suits jumped on the Mary with bags on their back. How the hell did you all get out of the turtle's mouth? Usopp asked as Sanji and Zoro blinked at that before looking back. We were in that chopper noticed a wide-eyed Naruto looking up. Naruto what's row he trailed off looking up as well. Soon everyone did the same. And saw 3 giant shadows of men blocking out the sun. Run. Everyone yelled using paddles to row their ships away. After rowing for a few miles, the SHC panted before hearing Masira. Arigato. Thank you. Sanji, Luffy, and Zoro kicked him high in the air away from the Mary before talking about what happened as Luffy opened the bag showing broken plates and armor. Robin threw Nami in eternal log pose with Jaya on the top of it. I grabbed from the salvager's ship. Just in case. She explained as Nami cried and I'm tears. You're the only one I can rely on. Naruto's shoulders slumped at that. Thanks. I've only been with you for almost 2 weeks, but okay I know when I'm not wanted. Nami quickly looked to him before speaking. No, you're really valuable. I could use a large big strong man like you. She said with a small blush. Okay to Jaya. Luffy exclaimed before running to the kitchen. First food. Naruto laid on the railing as they docked in the harbor of Jaya before seeing Robin walk down the ladder as Luffy and Zoro jumped off with Nami. Naruto created a clone to follow after Robin before putting his hand on the railing and jumped down. His clone landing beside Robin. Want some company? He asked having her smile and continue walking. Naruto shrugged before following after. Doing his best not to stare at her swaying ass. Is she doing it on purpose? He thought as he shook his head. Missing Robin looked back with a grin. Naruto, Luffy, Zoro, and Nami. No fighting you two. Nami said looking at Zoro and Luffy. Yeah. Zoro said as they walked through town. Naruto, who was walking beside her, had his hands behind his head before a man fell down in front of them. He is a very large man. His nose is slightly longer than normal, his face appears unshaven, and there are straight purple tattoos coming from his hairline to the corners of his eyes. He has long curly gray hair and has a pallid look about him. He is wearing a black fur coat, a wide-brimmed black beaten hat, and what appears to be a dark white hangman's noose around his neck. He would appear to wear a green turtleneck and from under his coat sprouts what looks to be a brown robe, under which his hairy legs are visible. He has black large buckled shoes. On his back he carries a long cylindrical bag. His overall appearance resembles that of an undertaker. Beside him is a sickly-looking horse. The man couched before raising a hand to them. Hey, sorry but could you help me back on my horse? Zoro raised an eyebrow at that. Luffy give me a hand. They threw him back on the horse before he coughed again. Thank you I don't have much for a reward, but take one. The man said before picking up a basket of apples. No thanks. Naruto said before pushing Luffy away. Hey. Why no? Naruto silenced Luffy until they were out of earshot. Because this is a pirate town. The apples could have been poisoned. They continued walking before hearing another man yell. Looking up, they saw a man on a rooftop. He is an unusually big, tall, broad-chested, broad-shouldered, tan-skinned, muscular man with a broad upper body and a thin lower body in comparison. He has curly violet hair reaching down to his shoulders and a dark brown mask with orange decorations on it which covers the upper part of his face but reveals his eyes and his nose. He's wearing a sleeveless black shirt and a pair of white pants with ruffles coming from the base, then reaching up to his knees. He also has black bands tied around both elbows. He's wearing what looks like a championship belt. Naruto ignored him before they made their way through town. Later, they came up to a very nice-looking hotel before hearing a man speak. I'm sorry but you need to go. They looked to see a short man who was fidgeting, explaining that a person named Bellamy rented out the hotel before hearing another man. Looking back, they saw a man walk in holding a woman by the waist. He has wavy, shoulder-length blue hair and has a purple-tinted visor over his eyes. He's wearing a white furred coat over his bare chest in addition to golden chains that are either a necklace or a clasp. He has red and white striped gloves and pants with the same pattern alongside a gold belt. On his bare chest is a tattoo of a smiley with a cancel symbol. He also has the symbol on his belt. The woman is a blonde girl wearing a red bandana, sunglasses, and a white shirt that exposes her cleavage. She has an hourglass figure that is fairly developed. Her sleeves are blue fur that lay downwards, which do not seem to go with the rest of her outfit. Who the hell let this trash in? Naruto raised an eyebrow at that before the manager of the hotel apologized quickly. I don't care, we paid a lot to rent this place out. The woman said as Naruto walked in front of Luffy. Yeah, so get the hell out of here before I throw you out. Oh, I'm sorry. You seem to have confused me for someone who gives a shit. Naruto said, getting the man to glare before throwing money at them. Here, go and buy some decent clothes. Naruto stared before looking back at the crew. Guys, leave. Nami wanted to speak but stopped seeing the look in his eyes. They left as the man laughed. What? Didn't want them to see you get your ass kicked. Crack. Naruto punched the man in his nose, having him fall on his ass before falling on his back as blood ran down his face. I don't know who the hell you think you are. Naruto said, picking him up by his hair. But some little piece of shit like you don't get to throw money at us. Now, you go tell your bastard of a leader that if I see him I'll make hell seem like a paradise when I get through with him. Naruto turned him around and kicked him into the wall as the woman stayed rooted in fear. Naruto put his hands in his pockets before walking to a restaurant. There, he saw Luffy arguing over nothing with a man sitting beside him. He is a middle-aged looking man with a massive build, with his body being round with relatively thin limbs, a big mouth with several broken or missing teeth, a pronounced crooked nose, and a very large and hairy chest and torso. Long, thick woolly black hair falls down the back of his neck underneath a black bandana and a small scruffy black beard around his jawline. He is extremely tall, being exactly twice Luffy's height. He's wearing an open-buttoned white shirt with rolled-up sleeves, green trousers with black line patterns, a yellow sash around his waist, and classic black swashbuckler boots, complete with large bronze buckles. The bartender gave the man some cherry pies before he left. Naruto walked up to them before glancing back as the man stopped outside as another walked in. He is a tall man with tan skin and short unkempt blonde hair. He's wearing white pants, a green sash with markings, and a pink sleeveless shirt with a navy blue pirate captain's coat over it. He has a scar above his right eye and tattoos of eye-like designs on his arms. Naruto saw more people along with the man he beat up walk in and sit beside Luffy, talking about his $30 million bounty. The townspeople ran out as Naruto kept his eye on the man. Must be Bellamy. He thought before leaning to Nami. Listen, anything happens just get out of here. I can beat these guys since I don't have a bounty. So the people who lives here will just think I'm a bounty hunter. She silently nodded before saying the same to Zoro and Luffy as Bellamy ordered. They looked to Naruto, who nodded, having them do the same. Luffy took a drink before Bellamy slammed his head on the bar, breaking it. Luffy got up just as Naruto picked up a glass. Okay guys, leave. The man who Naruto beat up looked at him as Nami took both Zoro and Luffy out. Bellamy. That's the man who broke my nose. Bellamy took his eyes off the trio before looking to Naruto. Bellamy tried to punch Naruto, but he leaned back before bringing his left hand up and grabbed Bellamy by the face and squeezed. AAHH. Bellamy screamed as Naruto moved his free hand up and did several hand signs. Lightning cracked around Bellamy as his clothes were burned before Naruto threw him out a window. How dare you? Naruto just smirked before doing more hand signs and blew a fireball at Bellamy's crew. Clone Naruto and Robin. Naruto followed her over town, going through different stores before stopping in another clothing store where Naruto watched her try on different outfits. He sighed and looked up at the ceiling before hearing the curtain open. Not to rush you or anything, Robin, but we should be going, he trailed off as she stood in purple panties and bra. Like it, Naruto-kun? Robin asked, turning around, having Naruto fly back with a nosebleed as she revealed she's actually wearing a thong. I'll take that as a yes. Later, Naruto carried the bags of things she bought up to the Mary before taking them to hers and Nami's room. Walking back up, Robin smiled at him as his clone poofed away. She's wearing a purple cowboy hat, jacket, pants, and boots. Thanks. Naruto-kun. She surprised him by kissing his cheek before walking away as Nami looked at a map. Robin had explained it was to a man's house on the other side of Jaya that would have information on Sky Island before a shadow covered the ship. Oh, now what? Naruto asked, turning around and saw a ship that was like Masira's along with a man that looked down at them. He is a large man who looks like an orangutan with long green hair. He's wearing a black button-up shirt that is too small for his body, showing off his hairy torso, a green captain's coat with his arms in the sleeves, and a green captain's hat with a Jolly Roger on the front. He's also wearing a belt that has the kanji for forest engraved upon it. Naruto sighed as his shoulder slumped. I'm regretting hitching a ride now. He said before looking up to see the man about to attack. Naruto jumped up and punched the man into a wall before looking to his crew. He's fine, but leave. Naruto jumped back on the Mary as the ship quickly left, having them sail. Later, other side of Jaya. Whoa. Sugoi. Amazing. Luffy and Usopp yelled, seeing the large castle in front of them on the land. That's where he lives, it's a freaking palace. Naruto dropped the anchor as they docked by the house before seeing that the palace is just made out of plywood in front of a small house that seems to be cut in half. They looked around before Nami picked up an old book on a large stump. What's this? It looks old. Noland the Liar. She finished reading the title out loud. Noland. Sanji asked, taking a drag from his cigarette. Yeah. You know it. It says it was published in the North Blue. Sanji nodded before speaking. Yes, I'm from the North Blue. It's a very famous fairy tale about Noland who lied about his city of gold. Nami read from the book before hearing Luffy scream as he fell in the water. What are you doing here? They look to see a man jump out of the water and look at them. He is a muscular, middle-aged man with blonde hair. He has a large chestnut on his head. He's wearing dark purple tracksuit pants with a white stripe running along each leg and a rope around his waist. He's not wearing a shirt or shoes. On his left arm he has a tattoo of a chestnut with the word maroon written across it. He also has a cigarette in his mouth. You have some nerve relaxing on someone's land when they're not here. Sanji dashed towards the man and traded blows before the man collapsed. Later. Topper worked on the man as he explained he has an illness from continuous diving and not letting his body rest before the door was kicked open showing Masira and Xiaogu. After explaining they're helping Luffy walked out as Masira and Xiaogu explained they're helping Cricket look for reeks around Jaya to look for the city of gold. Luffy? He's awake. Chopper said as Luffy walked in. Cricket explained he's a descendant of Noland and that he was ashamed to be in that family. And he's looking for the city of gold that he lied about. And how Masira and Sogu is helping him for the past 5 years. He gave Nami a logbook of Nolands of him finding artifacts not of the world that belongs to Sky Island. Later, Cricket explained there's an ancient dark cloud that blocks out the sun. If Sky Island is anywhere. It would be there. He went on to explain that there's a stream that happens around Jaya every now and then that shoots straight up in the air and they can use that to go to Sky Island. You'll need a southbird. They always point south. And south is where the knockup stream is going to happen next, as well as that cloud. If you get the timing right, you can use the wind to shoot up into the clouds. Next day, noon. Naruto sighed as he sailed the Mary towards a black cloud with Masira and Xiaogu. A chicken. Really? He asked as Masira and Xiaogu fixed a Mary to withstand the force of the stream and gave Mary wings and a chicken makeover. A whirlpool started to form before they heard a yell. Looking to their left, they saw the sickly man, the champion and the man that Luffy argued with at the restaurant on a large raft. Naruto saw another man with them holding a long rifle. He is a rather thin man of abnormal height, with light brown hair that hangs down to his lower neck. He has a calm appearance. His eyebrows are furrowed in what looks like a saddened expression. The left lens of the black glasses he's wearing is a normal rectangular eyepiece, but the right side is circular and holds what appears to be a crosshair. He's wearing a large black hat, protruding out to both sides and looks like an upturned boat hull. He is wearing a long black cape, under which he has a button-up pale lavender shirt with loose sleeves and simple black pants, with a maroon belt with an aqua outline that goes over a small portion of his shirt. He also has black shoes. Oh, what now? Naruto asked before the man with the black beard held up 3 posters. I've come for your 100 million bounty. The 60 million and 78 million is just icing on the cake. Nami blinked before Usopp looked through binoculars. Hey Luffy. Your bounty went up and Zoro as well as Naruto has won. Naruto rolled his neck for a fight as Zoro and Luffy cheered. Naruto coughed for a jump only to slam against the wall as they were shot up into the air. He groaned until Nami hit him, her chest hitting him face first. He pushed her away and stood on the wall as they sailed on the stream before Nami yelled. Open the sails. Doing that, they picked up speed before hitting the cloud and flew several feet above it before falling on it. Sky Island, here we come. So this part ends here. Alright, that's it for today's video guys. Let me know in the comments section how was the story and also don't forget to like, share and subscribe. I will meet you in another video. Bye bye.